Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and I have a very fascinating game for you from Giri Aronian match which was played during 2018 Chess.com Speed Chess Championship. In this game Aronian had white pieces and the time control of this game was 3 minutes plus 1 second increment. Now let's see what happened on the board. Aronian started with d4 and Giri responded with knight f6, bishop f4. Aronian goes for London system, an opening that can be used against virtually any black defense. This is a very popular opening nowadays and is Magnus Carlsen's one of favorite weapons. c5, e3, queen b6. The black queen is coming after the pawn on b2, but Aronian cold-heartedly played knight c3 and allowed queen takes b2, which actually leads to very complex positions. Black has to be very careful because one wrong step and that can be fatal. Knight e2, queen a3. The queen has already won a pawn and is hurrying back to its camp. Rook b1, queen a5, although instead of playing queen a5, a6 was also playable, acting against any possible knight b5 jumps, but in the game after rook b1 we see queen a5. Now comes rook b5, queen d8, and d takes c5, b6, e4, bishop a6. The rook is under attack, but Aronian counter-attacked black knight. Now if bishop takes b5, then simply knight takes b5. If a6, then after e takes f6, a takes b5, knight c3. Actually, white has a compensation for the sacrificed rook. After e5, knight h5 was played, which is a mistake. Knight e4 could have been better. The idea is that if knight takes e4, then only then bishop takes b5. That's why after knight e4, white should capture on b6 and then play rook b3, and after knight c5 actually the players have equal chances. But in the game after e5 we see knight h5. Now comes bishop e3. Instead of playing bishop e3, queen d5 is of course stronger. If knight c6, then e6 this time. With double attacks, of course you can't capture on f4 because there is this creepy checkmate. But after knight h5 we see bishop e3, bishop takes b5, finally Giri is accepting the exchange, sacrifice g6, although instead of playing g6 it was better first to kick away the knight from this active square, but g6 is on the board, knight c3 and b takes c5. Now comes knight d5 and black is in trouble. Knight a6 is virtually forced. Here comes g4. It turns out that Aronian had prepared a very neat combination and he needs to lure away the knight which is covering the f6 square. Knight g7, which is losing on the spot. Well, rook b8 could have prolonged the game. The idea is that if g takes h5, then rook takes b5 and then queen a5 check. Black is managing to survive, but after rook b8, white is not forced to capture on h5. White can first play knight c3, after which both knights are hanging, and only then win the knight. White stands much better. But in the game after g4, we see knight g7. We have reached the critical position, and now you can pause the video and try to find Aronian's next move. Ready? Well, he first gave a check from d6 square, and after e takes d6, once this pawn is lured away from e7 square and is not covering the f6 square, this time he gave a check from f6 square. King e7, well, queen takes f6 could have prolonged the game, although even in that case black has no chance to survive. King e7, after which Aronian announced the checkmate by capturing on d6. A very interesting game, I think. This reminds me of old romantic era of chess when games were full of sacrifices and typical mating ideas were all over the board. Thanks for watching, I hope that you enjoyed this game. For more games consider subscribing to my channel. I will see you in the next video.